Today I'm having a conversation with one of my close friends, Lukhanyo. I'm not gonna speak much about him, but I'm gonna allow him to introduce himself. So, Lukhanyo, can you please tell us who is actually Lukhanyo?
And it's a very, very difficult question to answer. Um, because they say when you ask a person, "Who are you?" you can't
Mm,
necessarily say, "Hi, I'm Lukhanyo," because that's just the name that was given to you. So you can't necessarily that is you. So I'll just do a small introduction. My name is Lukhanyo Sonyamba. Um, Basically, young professional within my own career path, work in the IT sector.
mm.
I'm very involved in a lot of things, social impact, social development, just a person of basically this trend that's going on now in Instagram, chill guy. So that emphasis is not
That's
just
a
yeah.
trend. That's a trend, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's the
I'm not
trend that's
very
going on
familiar with the trend at all right now. I'm trying to get onto it, but
now.
like tell me, do you want to tell the audience how we actually met? Because I know we only met like once, and then ever since then we just like had this connection on Instagram. Do you still
Mm,
remember?
mm. Facts. I still it was an event that happened like a poetry event.
Yeah.
Um, and we were the only like two guy, huh? Just two guys that like were performers. Of that, others was
Mm.
just there for the sake of entertainment. Um, and like, hey, we're looking at this beautiful scenery. My first time going to actually poetry event. You told me that you also you just also just found this place on Instagram. I'm like, wow, man, see the willingness of people when they're looking for art, something that's captivating, just brings people together.
Yeah.
And that's how we actually met. And I showed you my piece. And like, hey, you should have performed this. I was like, I like did something, not really.
Yeah.
I performed a freestyle piece. Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I think that's how we
Do you
met. Yeah.
still Yeah, man. Do you still speaking of poetry, I wanted to ask you this. Do you still Are you still writing? Are you still writing any pieces?
Yes, I literally still have. I've written quite a few actually.
Mm.
Um, one one's a very one captivates hope, and one captivates the opposite of hope, which is kind of
Mm.
despair. But funny enough, they feel like they're the same poem, but different chapters. Uh, you know,
I
yeah.
see. Do you think I want to ask you this question. Do you think poetry as an art, right? Does it play a huge role in our manhood and our identity as men? Do you think it's something that really plays a role? Because some people like let me elaborate more on that. Because some people may look at poetry as like,
Yeah,
what is this? It's like what kind of like talent is this? But I want to know from you, what do you think about poetry as a man? You writing poems?
yeah. Um, the concepts of man. Funny enough, um, poetry is it's actually quite funny you mentioned that poetry is a concept of words where you're saying something, but the receiver of that words is receiving an emotion, not
Yeah.
necessarily your words.
Mm.
So it is in the concept of in terms of manhood or in terms of being a man, as we in society are always controversially shied upon from expressing ourselves emotionally, like being vulnerable. In such spaces as poetry, it's almost like an outlet for us. For those who are really into poetry inclined, where we are in a space where we are able to be so-called vulnerable. Um,
Mm.
I take to one of the being ourselves in its truest form. So when you're a poet, you strip away all everything around you, about you, your problems, and focus on one aspect that you feel that this needs to be shared. And that's deepness of you actually exploring yourself more.
Yeah.
I'd find out sometimes when I'm busy writing a piece, like after I'm done, I look at the piece like, wow, so it's almost like you're creating a reflection of yourself and you're able to see yourself more clearly after writing that piece, which ties to
Yeah,
the part of like you discovering your identity through the work that you're doing. And in the same light, being a man in an environment or state where you feel like there's nothing necessarily, but nothing that comforts you besides brotherhood per se, or you felt like this is an art form where you are able to be vulnerable as a man without being criticized, judged about it, because
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
safe space in terms of it's art,
yeah,
and art
yeah.
provides that for us where we go to a counseling session or you speak with a friend, then judgment may be falled upon, speaking to a partner or whatnot. But that aspect, creates an outlet for men, and that could be a big saver because we don't talk. Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
true
Yeah, we
reality.
don't.
We don't
Yeah,
talk. Yeah.
yeah. We don't. Like for me personally, when I write poetry, it's not just a thing of uh it's also plays a role in my personal journey, and I like to correlate that with the biblical poets. Like you got David and King Solomon, who also wrote quite a lot of poems, right? And when I look at that, and I'm like, these are people who were in higher positions. These are people who had authority, you know. But at the same time, they also had a form of like speaking to themselves when they would write these words. And when you think of like David's Psalm 51, where he's like pleading to God, but in most cases, we don't even know how we ended up having that as scripture in the Bible, but it was something very intimate to him. He wrote that because he was pleading to God about his sins, right? And so for me, when I'm writing poetry, I want it to feel like that, but at the same time also I like the fact that it's a form of art that we are like allowed to share with other people. We're allowed to actually like perform it.
Yeah.
If you're asked, like, can you perform your
Yeah.
poem? So I actually like your answer, man. It's quite deep. Like, would you say that also plays a role in your like personal journey? Like, firstly, I want to ask you, because you said men don't talk, right? Do you
Mm.
think men who don't talk are sometimes on a personal journey for themselves, or personal development, or personal journey? And are you on your personal
Um,
journey?
um, the concept of men don't talk. I think we find that there's very different for how men handle stress and how women handle stress. Basically, women need to talk it out to go through it. We, in some cases, need to be quiet uh, to process internally. We don't want to talk about it until it is resolved within us. Because mostly men battle things internally than externally. Because when it comes externally, it becomes something else. Maybe it could be fighting, violence,
Mm,
aggression to extenuate. But we find that silence has its play in not talking, but in some cases it must be balanced out. It needs to be let out, and we still need to find this as like art is one way to let it out in a way that is safe for us as men. Um, but as well as like we need to let it out, but not in the way that we're sitting down and talking to someone, because that we do not like that sense of vulnerability. And myself,
mm,
on being on a journey, that's very, very important. Um, because if you do not acknowledge that you need a journey or you're on a journey, then what are you doing with yourself? What are you doing with the aspect of your life? I pry on reforming myself every time. I take time, maybe once or twice a week, just to reflect, like what have I done? Why did I make that certain decision, or why did I choose that place, or so? And it comes back to we need to know what's our direction in life and where we're going. One thing I really truly despise, I really hate, like doing something just for the sake of doing it or doing it with no purpose.
yeah.
Something must have a purpose. That for me, if it does not have a purpose, then it's futile. It's futility. It has no value in my life. So if I'm doing something, it was like, okay, I'm doing this because of this, and that I can align it with the journey or the walk that I'm walking. I'm a person who like talks the walk, walk the talk. whatever that phrase goes about.
Yeah.
Um, so I think that I believe that I am on a journey, and I'm striving to be whole, because I feel like we are all broken pieces trying to find a place to mend each other and whatnot. But looking journey to be whole, to be full, so that I may stop chasing after things. Because
Yeah.
we're on this constant like, hey, I must get this, I must get this. I don't want to do that. So I'm doing it, yes, but I don't want to, because I want to get to end results where I am fulfilled within myself, perfect, that I so that I can rest. It's
Yeah.
quite funny. Makes me think of uh, the seventh day creation. What does
Yeah.
God do at the end of the
He
seventh day?
definitely rested. Yeah.
And what I loved about that, he said, he created everything, and he said it is good, and then rested. I want to be at that level of point where I look at myself like I'm good, so then
Yeah.
I rest. Yeah,
Exactly. So I like how you bring that part because it's like even speaking of the whole point of creation and I like to use the reference of the scripture which says seek ye first the kingdom of God and all shall be added unto you. I like to think that that plays a huge role in every man's personal journey, and you spoke about how you never want to be at the point where you just want to seek and keep trying to get to the next point where you want to have a point where you are happy with what you have and what you have obviously accomplished, and then you are rested in that, which is what obviously God did after He created the whole creation of the world. And I want to ask you this question: Do you find it hard to balance out your faith journey, personal journey, your faith journey, basically, because it's kind of like three like points that you follow. Like, do you have a struggle balancing out your faith journey and your culture and also yourself as a human being, or do you combine all the three? Do you have a balance between all the three?
it's it's especially in this day and age, where everything is trying to be modernized, but it's
Mm,
still a hassle in terms of reaching that equilibrium between faith, and then cultural background or tradition per se. There's always a specific clash, um, because there's specific customs or specific things that are required, and from one it goes against the other. And within that aspect, you find out now: do I follow tradition, or do I follow this new pathway or new walk that I've affirmed myself to? And now it comes back to certain points where you might be like removed from specific communities because of your decision, or you've been
mm,
outcast. I'll take for an example. There's this thing, becoming a man, like within what calls is that you go to the bush or to the mountain, you come back, and you have a ceremony to welcome you, whatnot. Within that process of now, after you've become a man, you have to do the same thing for others who will come in before you, when you're coming after you. So it plays in the part now that you are working, but your reward is for doing these things that you're helping out is alcohol. Part Pardon me, then you don't drink, but then the reward is alcohol. Now, how are you supposed to enjoy or go through this process? Because everyone is happy,
yeah,
and you feel everyone, because when you're doing these things, they're drinking, they're having fun, all rest, but you don't drink, don't partake in that because of your decision or your faith within your faith. I love one of the scriptures says then in Proverbs, do not drink wine, for if kings don't drink, because what if they forget the law and then break
yeah,
it? So I was
yeah,
like, man, I was like, you've been in that contracts of where you are put in situations where you're laboring, you're working, but you don't get a reward for it. While others are getting their reward, but that reward is not for you. This is a construct. It as well and becomes like the specific things that are unnecessary. But for you, within your decision that you've taken within your faith walks, like I can't partake because of my conviction or resolution. Um, and it's always like that form now. And your friends or your people you grew up with, they change the outlook towards you because like oh you're deciding now to not join us in our festives or our traditions. So what do you want with us? And then they side themselves away from you, because now they're feeling like you're not partaking with us. So how can you be like for us or with us in this matter?
Yeah,
So I think it plays on that. It's very difficult to say, but if now in some way, I don't know how. Trust me, I don't know how, but you will eventually have to choose distinguishly your lines and what are you willing to sacrifice from one or the other. You
mm,
can't have both fully. That's where if you want true balance, you must subject one over the other. There's no basis of master and servant being in the same position in the household. One has to be above, one has to be below. And yeah, making that distinction will carry out what kind of um, relationship are you hosting within yourself based on the culture and your faith. I would like to look at it as my faith walk is with me and God.
yeah,
And then my relationship with my culture is between me and my people.
mm,
So you must understand now which one is higher, which one is lower, which one is
mm.
important, which one is, and that for me is how I've made my decision on like on certain things within my cultural aspects and my faithful aspect.
Do you think a lot of people find themselves challenged with that what you just described now, that balance where they're like they have to differentiate between the two, like this is culture and this is faith. I can't mix the two up, you know? Because I also have found myself in the situation where my culture says you need to do this, but then my faith like hinders me from doing that. You get what I mean? But like
Mm.
maybe it might just be me and you who understands this and know how to differentiate between the two, like not to get confused between my culture and my faith. But do you think a lot of people might struggle with that? Like a lot of young people might struggle with that to differentiate.
Um, yeah, it is very difficult, um, because it comes into play of what does your faith mean to you? See, this
Mm,
is again comes back to oneself. What is faith to you? Once you understand what faith is, because culture is easily described. The concept of where it ties within tradition, something that you learn over a period of time within a specific community or branch, something that gets carried on for generations to generations and just continues. Um, but now faith can be in some way, although yes, it is strictly can be strictly defined, but the concept of how you view it can be subjective. It's like how do you see your faith as like a side part of your life? Do you see it as like a section where no, this is my faith, it only activates or kicks in at specific times. Or when I go to church, then I have faith. Outside of church, I don't have faith. I'm just doing my own thing. So your perspective is your faith, your life. If that's you see that key now can help you like what is the balance? It's like are you cutting a line between your faith and your life? That becomes very difficult now to see if your culture has completely has oversight of your faith because culture is your environment, while your
mm.
faith, if it's your life, it can dictate your environment. I
Yeah,
hope that makes sense.
nah,
So
that's dope.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
dope. Like, no, man, you said something very profound there. I'm probably gonna quote you on that. But that's really dope. But that's really dope. But I like what you said. Like some of the work that I do personally, especially with what we just described now, is that I like to work with young men, not just young men in particular, even men in my age group, where I tend to find that they do have that struggle, like we said, where they don't know how to differentiate between the two, which leads me obviously to I want to talk about like mentorship and the legacy of mentorship. I like to work with a lot of young people because I do tend to see, not that I have the ability, I do tend to see that there are certain questions and answers that they usually ask that I feel like I've asked myself in the past, and I have obviously found a solution to it. Not that the solution may be entirely correct, but it is sort of like going to give you that direction, you know. And you spoke about doing some of that work. Are you currently like doing any mentorship work, or is it just a part of something you dabble in here and there?
Mm. So I have a plethora of social investments or social impact that I work with.
Mm,
One aspect is I work with Africa Unite, Western Cape Children's Commissioner, etc. So there's a lot of mentorship programs within that aspect where I deal with a lot of youth programs and youth mentees, and
mm,
which I take under my wing, and we discuss many aspects within their life and also their schooling. What is the trajectory the upcoming years and where do they see themselves going to be? And you're right, they can't get that distinguishing because of the environment as well. Because our target usually is like children not in well-off situations, um, but in very diverse and difficult environments. Um, there's some in orphanage homes, some in really tough households where they can't even speak or communicate with their own parents or their own father. There's this one kid who shared with me that when he father's abusive, verbally, physically, and to find that conscious way now, like how do I get people, like the social workers and what involved, but first speaking to him first, like what he needs to identify that he is not the product yet of his environment. He must not allow what his father is saying or what he's doing be the result of who he becomes.
mm,
And getting to a point where you're trying to show a new perspective, um, because we are not all coming from well stabilized households,
mm,
and that having someone at some point of my life as well, I felt like I needed someone, but I was not able to be to have someone in my life that could help me in that certain way. And
mm,
then in that aspect, being that person myself for other people has gained me a new perspective. Like, wow, this kid needs this, and I help them in that specific way. Granting them maybe a word or two in terms of wisdom, direction, or even a kind-hearted word where they feel like they're loved, they cared for, and I'm here for them if they need anything. Because in some aspect as well, like some people don't want advice; they just want to be heard, and
mm,
that's what I've learned a lot is that people just want to be heard and just want to be listened to. They don't want you to solve their problems because for truly, there's some of their problems I cannot. They can solve, but I cannot solve them. And my only option, the only viability thing that I can do is just listen and be present while they tell me, their heart. And it's been a growth aspect as well from my side, is where I am discovering a new aspect of humanity uh, that I've grown to truly love. So it's actually been it's been ongoing since while I was in school. Actually, it started
oh
in
wow,
high school.
mm,
So it's not something that I just so fell in love with. that it has become now a part of me. Like it's my livelihood now. It's my bread and butter. I cannot. Um,
when you say bread and butter, people will assume, so that means you make money doing this. Or you just say, no, this is
no, no,
this is
no,
something you're
no.
doing
It's
voluntarily, right?
yeah, voluntarily. I don't get paid at all.
Mm.
Not even 1 rand, not even a cent.
Wow.
It's just an aspect of my heart where I need to be the person that I couldn't have when at that specific time period. Because
Would
all of us
you?
go through so much. Yeah.
Mm. I was gonna say that. Sorry to cut you off. I don't mind. I like that because I'm also doing that kind of work. I like to be honest, right? I like to be honest. People usually tell me, no, no, what you're doing, we see what you're doing is great work.
Mm,
Can you go full time on it? And my honest answer is, if I get the funding for it, I will probably, because these kind
yes.
of things does
Yes.
require money. It does require for you to travel from point A to point B to go and speak to certain people. It does require for you to go
Yeah.
look for kids and maybe create the program for them. Everything requires money, right? So at
Mm.
some point, like, would you also like agree that these kind of projects are never funded? And if there was some kind of funding, would you go full time on it if there was funding for you?
Okay. Um, oh, by the way, I need to disclose I'm a software engineer by profession.
Of course. You gotta make that clear. Let them know you make money on the side.
Yeah, yeah, I'm not. So usually some of the projects that I run, it's either funded by partners and organizations that I are involved with, or I pay them for myself, like from my pocket. Um, the aspect is now like for me to go full time, I'd love to. I don't want to lie. Um, it's one of the things that I could see myself doing when I probably retire. Um, you know, but because I'm planning to retire early. Um,
Ah.
so that but in the aspect of once if I'm able to get funding, good foundation in my aspects, so myself is sorted. Because remember, I'm still maybe still young at this point, but eventually I'll probably have a family, have a house, have kids. I need to make sure that they're taken care of. Because it was quite. I saw this story once. Actually, a very interesting story. There's a pastor who took care of everyone, like everyone. Everyone loved him except his own family. So when he died, his son, used to like wow, like hear all these great stories that his father did. But when it was time to speak, it's like I hear everything that you guys have said, um, that my father did for you all, but I needed him the most, and I couldn't have them because he was busy taking care of you. And that when I heard that, that kind of hurt, you know. Imagine your father doing everything for other people, but not anything for
Not
you.
for you.
Yeah. So it's like I need to make sure that my family is taken care of um, before before committing like fully something like to take care of everyone else.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been working on to retire, working as hard as I can, doing what I can to retire early, so that making sure that they're sorted, that they're taken care of, while I can do what my heart desires the most. Go out, make that positive change a life. Because if you can, like, that's worth literally. Like in some cases where even when I'm having like really bad days,
Yeah.
and I get a message from one kid saying, "Hey, thank you for what you did. Um, that really helped me," or whatnot.
Mm.
Just a simple, just thank you message. Just even it's like, "Hey, good morning. Thank you for what you did last week. We really appreciate you." Literally, that lasts about for 6 months. Like,
Wow.
that feeling that you get, like, wow, that lasts for 6 months. For that first 6 months, like, I'm energized. I'm ready to do up. I'm ready to go up. Now that's just from one person.
Mm.
Now imagine like a polychute. It's it's so much fuel for me, um, to keep on going because I think that you can also relate. Most men,
Mm.
especially this generation, our kind of men, all of us have been through depression. All of us have been questioning, like, do we want to continue existing? Um, well, for the fact is, I can blatantly say this: if it wasn't for God, my family, and the work that I do, those three things, I wouldn't be alive today. I literally see no reason to keep on suffering because
Yeah. Yeah.
so those are the, like, became my three pillars, that keep me stable. That's why it's very close to my heart running and going full time. Probably it's gonna happen. That's for sure. If the funding may make it quite sooner than
Yeah, of
later.
course. Of course. You gotta let them know where to find you so they can come and give you that cash and be like, we like you, young man. We see what you're doing. Here's the money. Because if you look at the
Yeah.
country's economy, man, a lot of money goes wasted to things that are like really not that important. Um,
Mm,
just to mention a few, like the minister of was I think it's sports and art and culture, like putting funding into something that I won't even mention because people are gonna come for me in the comments. But there are certain things that he's busy funding, like there's certain things that he's busy funding that I feel like
yeah.
man, that money could be used for something more important. And
Mm,
the mental health of young men and mental health of young men, not just men, we focus too much on men right now, but because obviously we don't really focus in the outside world, they don't really focus on us young men like that. But
mm,
the mental health of young men and women, it really matters, man. We're going through a lot, whether it's the economy, the education system, whether it's the politics of the government,
yeah.
whatsoever. We are affected by all these aspects of our lives, and sometimes we need that kind of support to come and help us. But then the support also needs support. They need help. The guys like you who are trying to go out there and help these young kids, trying to create programs. They need you need that kind of whether it's financial support, you need that as well. So I do kind of get where we're going with that, man. But yeah, like, so I want to obviously come to the end of our little session here, but I wanted to ask you because obviously you are doing some work that are really important. I do feel people need to find a way to reach out to you. Where do you think people can reach out to you, or Instagram, social medias, whatsoever? Like, where can people actually find you?
Basically, basically Instagram is the most important place where I usually post my content. Uh, LinkedIn is for strictly work purposes. So you can find me on Instagram,
Mm.
_Luks. Uh, Full name will be also written there, Lukhanyo Sonyamba. I can search and you'll find me on Instagram. Yeah, that's primarily where my content is, what I do, the whole aspect of what I am, what I'm busy on this journey that I'm moving towards. Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, fun fact as well. Did you know that actually I have my own NGO that I started?
Which program is this?
It's an NGO, not a program, a full
Oh,
on
an
NGO.
NGO. Oh, really? Bro, tell us about
Yes.
it before we end, man. Tell us about it. What is it called?
Uh,
And where exactly started it? Is it still based here in the Western Cape? Or like are you
yeah, it's a new baby. I co-founded it with my
yeah.
friend. She called me. It's like, hey, I see this kids are struggling. They need us. Like, okay, let's create a program. No, we don't need a program. We need something because this is happening all around the Western Cape. Like, okay, let's get an NGO. So the NGO is called RA, which is RA
Mm.
uh, hyphen, like up comma, what's that thing called? And then another A, then an H, which is Ra, which means to perceive or to see. So in that line of
What
context, like
language is that though? What language is that?
Hebrew, Hebrew,
Hebrew. Oh, okay, okay,
yeah,
okay. Mm.
to see. So I put it in the context of we're trying to see or to perceive the children that are suffering, to actually look at them and see them, because we don't, and to see them as who they are and who they are to us, and what that means, because to perceive is to understand. So this organization is currently focuses on orphanage homes. We have another specific target orphanage home that we're busy working on to set the foundation. Use Maphumelele's home orphanage home in Kailicha.
Mm.
Trying to now gather. I already built a whole curriculum for them, and now moving towards on building a curriculum for the caregivers, because I've noticed a lot of things. So I'm trying to meet that balance now to equip them. So it's more of this organization will be firmly focusing on their livelihoods, themselves as a person, to understand who they are and how they can become members of society, a positive aspect of members of society when they leave that orphanage home. Because when you turn 18, because I read a lot of stories where you turn 18, like you're out, and what
Wow.
happens to you, like what do you do? So
Mm.
I need, I'm trying to even develop it for programs for them when they after they turn 18, so that they're able to find high school or universities, able to even like get a job if needs be. Certain
Mm.
skill aspects where you find out these kids have never been to town, like Cape Town. They
Wow.
don't know Cape Town. When they come here, their eyes light up as if they've seen a whole new world of Rangers. So even these are programs that I want to initiate. As you said, the funding is always an issue. I want to take them to museums, art galleries, aquariums, where they're exposed to the place that where they live. Cape Town. They live in Cape Town, but they've never experienced these things. I'll be getting soon enough as everything is unrolling properly. Getting like a career exposed come to them. So different people in different fields, doctors, nurses, astronauts, people like varieties that you don't usually see on day to day or hear
Mm.
about. Because
Yeah.
you only hear,
Yeah.
I want to be a police officer, I want to be a what. But the career aspect of being broadening, like what are your capabilities? These exposing them to what the options they have, because they don't know their options. And that's the sad reality is where you're so caged in your own small environment, small community, that you have no idea what awaits for you on the other side of the world. And that's what we want to see them and want them to be seen, to be perceived. And that's our really mission statement that we're working towards. So yeah, it's a new baby. It actually was born on my birthday.
Wow. Okay. No, that's really dope to know, man. I'm actually glad you are like you are deep into this, bro. You are deep in, and
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I've been doing this as well, but I'm just slacking. And I actually spoke to
Mm,
one of my close friends as well, and we want to start
mm,
doing like a school tour next year, where we do actually go to schools and starting with our primary school. We want to go and give talks to young kids just to inspire them as well, to
mm,
speak to them about the career aspects. Like I'm also into IT, but when I was
mm,
growing up, I never like had an interest in anything. Like I never wanted to be
mm.
any of these ordinary jobs. Matter of fact, I wanted to become an astronaut, bro. Can you
Easy,
as
easy.
if that's something that was
Uh,
possible. And when I think about it today, when I think about it today, I'm thinking about how embarrassing it was because I'm like, damn, did I really say I wanted to become an astronaut? So it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
the basics were there, but nobody was there to like inform me. And you're quite
Mm,
right. Like these kids are describing all these future careers. They want to be this and that, but they actually never seen it firsthand. And I like that you
mm.
are trying to get people to come out, bro. And if you get like, bro, you get me, I'll come out and I'll speak to them as well, bro, man.
For
But
sure,
it's
for sure.
amazing, bro. It's amazing, bro. I want to make sure that when when we were done with this video, bro, you need to put your contact details down there, man. You need to give me your public number or public email address. You're gonna give it to me.
We'll do, we'll do, we'll
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah, man. Otherwise, Lukhanyo, man, it was a pleasure chatting to you, bro. I feel like you should
Yeah,
be a regular because we both work in the same field and we both doing the same
yeah.
work. So it'll definitely be good
Anytime.
it'll be
Uh,
good to have you as a regular. So we talk about these things, man. It's quite important for us to touch on these kind of conversations. But It was really a pleasure chatting to you, man. Kanyo, peace out until next time, and until next time to the audience. Ciao.
Guys.